Hey everybody, this is Brett Ingram, and this is the optYOUmize podcast, the show that helps entrepreneurs build their business, and dream life. Today we're talking with Jon Clemence, professional proofreader, editor, and writer, and founder of Cedar Press Proofreading, an editing and writing agency. He achieved top-rated status on Upwork, which is awarded to the top freelancers on the site, with a 100% job success score. It's really impressive. I'm excited to have him with us today because many people struggle with writing, and quality is very important in content creation. So, with that, welcome, Jon, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Brett. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So, first off, I was telling you offline as well that I've used Upwork before, and it's a gigantic marketplace with a lot of freelancers in various skill sets, and there's some very good people. But to achieve 100% is really impressive because I've worked with a lot of people. I know that that's not easy. So congratulations on that.
Hey, thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I know that you're going to be sharing with us the importance of great written content, why editing and proofing is super important and all that. But let me just start out by asking you about your background. I'm really curious to know, how did you get into writing, proofreading, and editing to start with?
Yeah, so I've always enjoyed writing and even editing. So I was the nerd in my high school class that loved Shakespeare, right? And all the other kids were like, "Why are we doing this?" I'm like, "This is great. Can we do this more?" So, and then even in college, and I got a master's as well. I was the guy who just willingly proofread other people's papers. I just enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of the start of it. But I actually spent 15 years in the corporate world, and I enjoyed the first 10 of them. So the last the last 5 years up until COVID, I just hated it. I didn't want to go to work in the morning. I would literally pray to God on my way into work, "God, can I quit today?" So my first piece of advice is don't wait 5 years to do that. but but I lost my job during COVID. They just, my company couldn't pay me anymore. There was no performance issue. It's just how it was at the time. And so rather than going back to a profession that I had grown to hate, I said, what else can I do? And that's when proofreading and editing entered my mind again. And I said, maybe people will pay me to do this. I don't know. So I got a profile on Upwork, as you mentioned, and I started applying for jobs, and turns out people pay to do that. So that's really how I got my start, is just I needed something to do for a career that I didn't despise, that I could actually enjoy and find meaning in. And I'm very thankful and grateful that, editing and writing has become that for me.
That's a great story, and I think the really important sort of undertone in there is that when we do stuff that we love, it's fun, but we're also good at it. So it's far easier to make a living and enjoy things like that. I had a corporate life as well before, and I was fortunate enough to have one job I absolutely loved, but it was a tech company right pre-dot-com boom and bust. So when the dot-com bubble burst, the company pretty much disappeared, and that was unfortunate because after that, I didn't find anything that I ever felt the same sort of passion for. And that's why I went into it. But it's funny that you mentioned Shakespeare. My wife is actually an AP Lit teacher,
Oh,
so
nice.
she would be very happy. She loves Shakespeare, loves to teach AP Lit, so that's her wheelhouse. And I have to say, so I actually enjoy the proofreading editing thing myself, and I have to tell you one story. When I was in college, one of the books that we had to read was a book called On Writing Well by William Zinsser. I don't know if you've heard of it or read it.
I've read it, yeah.
Amazing. I saw the unedited chapter, and one of the things the guy does is he shows you the unedited chapter and the edited. And when you compare them, it's like night and day. It was absolutely astounding to me. I never forgot that, how powerful it is when you can make language tighter, you can make everything more concise. It speaks to the reader in a way that engages them. When it's loose and sloppier, even if it's well written, it just doesn't have the same effect. So I never forgot that, and I was always really impressed by that book. A book about writing that was actually fascinating to read. I never thought it would exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's actually another one. Have you ever read On Writing by Stephen King?
No, I haven't.
So he's more geared toward the fictional side, and I'm more of a business kind of provider. But again, another just amazing book. If you want to learn about writing, how to do it well from one of the masters, check his book out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. So obviously you then sort of leveraged your Upwork freelance experience into your own agency. What inspired you to actually? I know you loved the work itself, but what made you think, you know what, I don't want to just do sort of freelance work. I want to actually start an agency and build this thing up.
Yeah, there's two things really. The first reason is I had success on Upwork, as you mentioned, and I was very happy for that. But I was getting to the point where I had to like turn away work. People were coming to me saying, "Can you do this?" And I had to say like, "No, I don't have any more time in the day. I can't do this thing." And that's a really bad business model, right? Like I don't want to turn away work. So what I did was I had a couple of people I knew who'd reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you help me get started doing what you're doing?" And I helped them with that and got them set up. But after that, after I started having to turn away work, I went back to those people and I said, "Hey, what if we just partner together? I'll find the clients, I'll guide you, I'll coach you, and then you can do the bulk of the work, and we'll split the money, and everyone wins, right?" So that's how that started. The other piece of the puzzle was realizing that as long as my income was tied to my time, there was a hard limit.
Yep.
And I don't have any aspirations to be a millionaire. Like I don't care about that, but I do care about providing for my family and being efficient and making the most out of my time and my value. So to me, it was that other piece too of just like, if I can find a way to divorce my income from my time, then I can really grow and really achieve some success. So it's really those two things.
That's it's a really smart distinction because the fact of the matter is when we're trading time for money, the other issue is it's the assumption we're always going to be able to work. If something happens, if we get sick, if we're not able to do what we need to do, it's really hard to provide if we're trading time for money. So sort of leaning in and trying to get that leverage is good. And I love the way that you built it because for me, I'll be honest, I didn't start off in the smartest way. I sort of started off with the idea to just go do it. To actually have some of the resources there and the demand already there is really powerful because it sets you up for success in a way where you can scale it, but you can do it on your terms and do it in a way that is profitable, effective, and successful, which is great. I mean, kudos to you. It's awesome that you chose to go that route. And I always have to applaud any entrepreneurs because I think it takes a lot of guts. And I think that's really, really great. So I have to ask this question because I know in the space that I'm in, I do a lot of stuff with software and other things online, and it seems like everything is sort of going visual today, right? Images and videos and that stuff tends to be like all the rage. So I guess the question that I have is, and I have a hunch, but I want to know what you think. Why should people care about written content if everything seems to be going so visual?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's a couple answers. First of all, yes, it's true. There's a lot more visual information today than there used to be. And I'm actually a fan of that because sometimes you want a visual, you want a YouTube video. I think like, for example, when I was a kid, my brother bought a book that explained to you how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And let me tell you, if you've ever tried to solve a Rubik's Cube using a book, it is impossible. Like I couldn't figure it out. But later on, right, many years later, now I have a son, and he got into Rubik's Cubes, and he found a YouTube video that explained how to do it. And it was still hard, but you could follow along with the video and actually get that done. So now I know how to solve a Rubik's Cube because I saw the video, right? That's a perfect example of like, this needs to be a video. But there's other times where that's not so true. If I want to get to know something about a product or your business, video might be nice. But I also might want to go to your website and read your blog and really get to know you and really see what you have to offer and where your expertise lies. And you might have videos that explain all that, but it also might take me an hour to watch all those videos when I can read all that stuff in about 10 minutes. So what am I going to choose? I'm going to choose your website in that case. As far as that goes too, just let me throw some stats out at you. As far as like blogs specifically, let's say, there's still 600 million blogs out there today, and there's still 500 new WordPress adds 500 new blogs every single day. So people are like, there's still a demand for these things. 70 million new posts on WordPress every month, 409 million visitors. That's just WordPress. That's just one site. That's
Right.
not Wix or Squarespace or anywhere else. And then 21% of internet users have read a blog post in the past month. So I think that
Wow.
shows that like there's still hundreds of millions of people that want to read content. Books have been around for thousands of years. I don't think they're going anywhere. And the other aspect that I want to stress is if you have a well-written piece of content, maybe it's a newsletter, maybe it's a blog post, or whatever it might be, there's no reason to not then take that and use it to make videos out of it. That's actually what I'm doing. I have a website where I'm going back to my old blog post and I'm just saying, okay, let me just do a 5-minute YouTube video, stick it on YouTube, link the two. What's it going to hurt? So if you have that well-written content, I think that can be really be a good foundation for everything because you can create videos out of it. You can use it to create social media posts. It can go into a newsletter or email. Like there's so many things you can do with it. So I don't really think there's necessarily a dichotomy. It's just you need to have video and you need to have written, and they can both complement. And actually, if you do it right, they can help you progress in your business goals. So I don't think there's even necessarily like a contest. It's just have both.
It's a good point. People like to consume things in different ways. And also, your point about speed is funny because we associate the fast thing with the easy thing, which is watch the video, listen to the audio. But the reality of it is, if there's a lot of content, it might take an hour to get through the video, but you could read through that a lot faster. I remember when I was studying marketing younger, one of the guys that I studied was Jay Abraham. And, one of the things that I never forgot lessons from him is that he shared some of the campaigns that he did for various companies. These were all marketing campaigns. The only goal of these campaigns was to make sales, convert customers. And he would send out these letters to people in the mail that had no pictures on them at all. It was just pages of text. But his assertion was that if it's compelling and there's value for the reader, they will read every last word of it. And he's right. He sold millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of products when everybody else was sending out photos of stuff, and flyers and leaflets and things. He had long form text when it was appropriate, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's a good point. So what kinds of written content do you think specifically, or is there a variability there, should businesses create?
Yeah,
Is it just a blog or other stuff too?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve, and certain industries or niches might benefit from a different approach. There are definitely industries out there where a blog is super helpful. So I actually work with a number of like functional medicine doctors and influencers, and blogging is huge in that industry. So if you're anywhere around that industry in your niche, man, do a blog for sure. So that's a great thing to look at. Newsletters are always great because newsletters, they help you grow your email list. And the great thing about a newsletter and that email list is yours. So if you're getting contacts off of LinkedIn or Facebook, that's amazing. But if those platforms go away, now you don't have your contact list anymore. If I build a newsletter, like that email list is mine, and that's an asset. So newsletters are great. You can also sell ads on newsletters. I mean, that's another way to make some money. And even books, honestly, like books are still a thing. I still read books. Like lots of people read books.
Yeah.
And books can actually be a great marketing tool. So if you've got a book like kind of at the top of funnel and you charge people, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks, whatever it might be, if you can hook them with that purchase, make a little money to cover your advertising costs, and then have that value like you mentioned in your book, you are way closer to making a sale than before. So, blogs, newsletters, emails, books, these are all things that you should really consider. And I can't tell you for your individual business what the best answer is, but I can tell you I've seen examples and work on a daily basis with people who do all of those things and find success in them.
Makes sense. I mean, I think anything that you can do where you create a connection with your audience is always going to be better because it eliminates the need for any sort of hard selling or crazy marketing tactics. If people are sort of pre-sold in the sense that, to your point about building sort of an audience with an email list, if they've if they've gone through the trouble to give you their email address, they want information that you have to offer. They want to hear more from you. So they're already predisposed to be interested in your offers, your products, whatever else you have to say. And, so it's sort of a subtle way to create a bond with somebody that might not be on the, as obvious. I read a statistic the other day because I've seen in my industry a lot of people talk about over the last, they've been saying this for 10 years now, the death of email marketing, right? Email marketing is dead because everybody's on social media and everybody's got these. The reality of it is email marketing is one of the most profitable and effective ways to reach an audience. And in fact, the revenue in it is growing, and it's projected to grow a lot more over the next 5 years. So despite the fact that people view email as old school where you're writing out messages, I know for me, when I send out my emails, I don't even do any images. Mine are text only, because I just feel as though it's just my voice and my audience, and we can connect over that. And so so I think that certainly makes a lot of sense. So in terms of benefits businesses get from the content, you're saying traffic, you're saying leads, you're saying the ability to generate a connection with the audience. Are there other things too? How would somebody equate that into sales? Is it just through the process, or?
Yeah, I think it's through the process. So especially when it comes to actually really any of those things, if you want to focus on sales, like that's your goal, which obviously we're in business, it should be, you mentioned it several times, right? Connect, resonate. So I think we'll talk about this later, but don't use AI to just write some crap. Like that's not going to work. Tell a story, let someone know an interesting or contradictory fact or something. Like find those connection points. Like you said, find your voice. My voice is different than your voice, and my voice is going to attract certain people and your voice is going to attract certain people. So, think about that. There's those things. Oh, also like a super important thing, which again, we can talk about more later, but is, do you have a call to action? Do you have something in your text, in your content, that tells people what to do next? And more importantly, or even as importantly, is that call to action relevant and still up to date? How many times have you been to a blog post and you click on the link to go do the thing and it's at 404? Like, well, that didn't help me out. Back out of that website. So,
I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen that a time or two for sure.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I remember the first thing that I saw about a call to action in reference to writing like sales pages, long form sales pages. And I remember somebody saying you have to literally tell people what to do. And oftentimes we overlook that because we think, well, of course they're going to know what to do. We're pitching them the whole time. But it's true that you actually increase your conversion rate and your click-through rate when you tell people literally click this button, then do the checkout or whatever. So, well said. Now, I know that you've done a lot of proofreading and a lot of editing in your life and in your career. And so you've seen a ton of written content. I have to ask, what are the most common mistakes that you see when you're looking at somebody else's work?
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to answer that. There's two types, I guess. So the first type is just general flow or style. I don't know how to maybe make this more specific, but it's just like you mentioned before, it's just not tight. It's loose content. It's not written well. It makes assumptions. You mentioned we just assume people know what to do. Well, it's the same thing with your writing. If I use this acronym, I just assume people know what it means. But I'm here to tell you, not everyone knows what that acronym means. I see it all on a daily basis. Like I have to go research I don't know your industry. I don't know what that, P to Q or L. I have no idea what that means. So, I have to look it up and define it for people. Or even just like assumptions. So I would encourage anyone who's writing content for their customers, think about what assumptions you're making. You know your product and service better than anyone, but you have to write in such a way that you remember that those people reading it, they don't. They may not be able to make that connection you made because there's an unspoken assumption in there that's buried. So that's a lot of things that I try to suss out as an editor, just from the flow side. And then I kind of say is from the technical side, I mean, no one knows how to use a semicolon or a colon. That's pretty standard. But the funniest one, I get this one once a week. I'm not even joking. I can't even tell you how many times a person will write compliment with an I when they mean compliment with an E. So why is that important? That's super small, right, John? Why is that important? Because if you say your product is complimentary with an I, that means you're giving it away for free. If you almost always people mean complimentary with an E, right? It complements our existing product line. So I've probably saved companies thousands of dollars, maybe more, just by changing that I to an E. When I'm like, I don't think you mean to give this away for free. I think you want to charge for that. So that's like the funniest example, and it happens all the time.
That's awesome. The one that I've seen a lot, not in proofreading, but just in general, is they use apostrophe S when they have plural.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, that that's not the right way to use that, right? So that is funny. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, one of the things I know as a kid when I would go back and look at my own writing, I always found, the structure was the toughest thing. If you have the structure in place so you can make the things flow together and there's a logical progression of what you're doing, you're taking the reader on the ride with you. If you're jumping all over the place, or to your point, making assumptions, which if we're business owners and product people, I mean, we live it every day. So of course we're going to assume everybody understands what we're talking about. I've caught myself when I'm doing podcast episodes and I'm talking about something and I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's a little bit technical. I don't know if people know what that is. So I'll either remove it or I'll define it when I'm talking about it. And I'm sure I still make the mistakes, but I totally am aware of that same thing, because if you lose people, if they don't understand the frame of reference and the context that you're talking about, then you've lost that connection. And so it's going to be pretty hard for the rest of what you're saying to matter. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And if I can just jump in real quick, to your point, like you said, I try to find that stuff and fix it, but I'm sure I miss things. So one of the benefits of outsourcing to a guy like me is I don't have those assumptions. There's, right. Oftentimes we're too close to our own writing to yes. We look at the page and we see what we think we wrote. We don't see what we actually wrote. So again, like for that second set of eyes, that objective person to come in, like me or one of my editors, to come in and look at your work, we're going to find more stuff. We just are. We're going to find those assumptions. We're going to find those mistakes that you overlooked. I mean, I have someone proofreading my own work because I know I can't spot it all. So again, that's right. Just one more piece of value just to consider. If you're on the fence, like, do I need an editor? That's a value proposition right there. Just having that objective, sanity check.
There's no doubt. No matter how good you are at it, if it's your own, it's really hard to see. And the challenge or the idea that I would throw out there for that is, if you question it, give it a shot. Try one piece and see the difference between what you wrote and what you guys did or an editor did or whatever, because I've done that myself when I've looked at things. I mean, whether it's for kids back in college, or if my wife writes something, or even if we write an email that we're going to be sending off, we'll have each other look at it, and there'll be simple mistakes in there, or there'll be things that they don't flow in my mind the way that she thought they did, or vice versa. I'm like, this is confusing. And when it's somebody from a totally different perspective, they actually have an advantage over you in that regard. So yeah, that's a really good point. So I have to ask, I know you mentioned AI, but I have to ask a little bit more detail about that. So what if somebody said, why don't I just use AI, right? I mean, it makes good content, it's grammatically correct, all this other stuff, and it would save me a lot of time and money. I mean, shouldn't I just use AI and start there?
Well, so AI. Well, let me first say that my crystal ball is in the shop, so I can't see the future today. Maybe next week it'll be back. I don't know. So I don't know where AI is going, but then again, neither does anyone. But as of today, and what I can foresee just in the near future, AI is great for a lot of things. I use it. It's great for brainstorming. It's great for helping to do some very targeted searching if you want to find a certain thing. It is not great for writing long form content. And here's why. There's not a person behind it. And so why is that important? Because if you're writing content, like we've been mentioning throughout this episode, you want to resonate, you want to connect. And if you start reading AI generated content, very quickly you realize how boring and repetitive it is. I mean, it's just a wall of text. It makes me want to rip my eyeballs out. Like it's terrible. And I don't know that it's going to get better because by definition it's derivative. It's just running an algorithm that what's the most likely next word in the chain. It's really, if you need to write a job description for a LinkedIn post to hire someone, then use it because no one cares how interesting that is.
Right.
But if you want to write a blog post or a newsletter or a sales email, AI isn't going to include a personal story or a witty comeback or a joke or any kind of flair. So will it save money and time to use an AI service to write your blog post or newsletter? Absolutely. Will it accomplish your business goals? Oh boy, I don't see it. And as soon as I see a website that's using AI, I back out because I'm done. I don't want to read that. I want to read something you wrote, right? I want a relationship with you. So again, I'm not trying to like poo-poo AI because I use it every day.
No.
It's totally an
Sure.
amazing tool. But as far as like writing your content for you, again, boring, repetitive, no personality. And also, and this is, kicker here, there's no guarantee that it's factually correct either. And we've all seen the like the recent thing with Google and their AI search and I think what was the one, it pulled a result from Reddit telling you should put super glue on your pizza, right?
Right.
But
right.
like it doesn't know if that's true or false. It's just finding a page and going, well, if it says that on the internet, I guess I'll put this, right? So,
Right.
Even if you do write that article using an AI tool, for your business, for your own sense of ethics, like you need to go and research everything that it said and make sure it's true. Now, how much time are you saving?
Right.
So
Yeah, that's a good point.
I just don't see AI long form content being a game changer in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I use it also for shortcuts here and there, but the fact of the matter is it lacks authenticity because it isn't human. It doesn't have a background. It doesn't have an origin story. It's a machine. And so if you want a summary of something, some bullet points to go off of for brainstorming, whatever, super valuable. If you're actually creating content itself, I mean, I actually think because of the advent of AI, which is so ironic, that we're actually entering into the age of authenticity because we're way past the information age. And now we're at a point where you could create just about anything, anywhere, anytime in minutes without any skill or ability. But the fact of the matter is it's going to be the differentiation, it's the authenticity, it's the connection that's going to make the difference. And it's our personal stories that engage people. I mean, look, I have a podcast, and the part I enjoy the most when I interview people, sure, I love all the technical ins and outs of the stuff that they do, and I learn a lot. But I love to hear people's stories. I love to know, where did you come from? Where did you get this idea from? What makes you do what you do? Because it's different from mine, so I can learn a lot from that, and I find that element of it fascinating. So I'm with you 100%, but I had to ask it because I know that's something that would be an obvious question people would have. So writing is obviously a skill, right? I mean, we know when we go to ride a bike, you get on the bike, you don't ride the bike perfectly the first time. You fall down, you skin your knee, you get back up, you do it again. And so writing, we're going to get better at it the more we do it. But if we take experience aside and just doing it more and more, is there other advice that you'd give somebody for how to write compelling content?
Yeah, I would say think of it in there's basically three things that you can start doing like today to make your writing better. And we've actually touched on all of these. So this is more of a summary statement, but just to make it very clear, if you want to be a better writer, in a business context, blog post, newsletter, email, whatever it is, book. Step number one, start with a compelling introduction. You have I don't know, some people say 8 seconds to hook a reader. I don't think it's even that much. I say it's less than that. So again, what's the first sentence? What's the first paragraph of your blog post, newsletter, or whatever? What does that look like? Is it interesting? Does it tell a story? Does it make a bold claim? Does it reveal a crazy statistic? Does it give the reader some reason to keep going? So that's step number one. You have to have a good introduction. You must. You can't just start in with it. Like you gotta set it up. Step two, and we talked about this. I think you mentioned like the flow and structure is super important. Super easy way to do that is to make sure you have headers and make sure those headers guide people along whatever journey you're trying to take them on. That's not just for those who read everything word for word, but that's especially important for people on mobile, for people who skim. Most of us don't read your blog post word to word the second we get on the page. We skim it, we scroll down, we see what it's about, we see is it interesting. So use that to your advantage. Make your headers stand out, tell them where they're going to go, give them the highlights, pull out quotes, pull out call outs that kind of, give them those nuggets that they can sink their teeth into, and then they're more likely to go back and engage with you further. So great introduction, good flow, logical progression, and then the final thing is we talked about it, make sure you have that strong call to action to a current product or service, something you're doing right now. So if you do those three things, you're going to see an increase in people who are engaging with your content. And there's a lot of other things you can do, and we can come alongside and help you to do those things. But if you just wanted the 3 quick wins, man, good introduction, logical flow, strong call to action. Just have that like tattooed in your brain, and that will make a huge difference.
Nice. So if someone already has content, let's say somebody has a blog, let's say somebody has a newsletter that they've written some things for, or they have, whatever it is, product brochures or online things like that. Maybe they aren't getting any traffic or leads from it, or they're not really sure if it's optimized or whatever. Is there a way to transform what we already have so we can start generating traffic and leads?
Absolutely. So if you go to my website, cedarpressproofreading.com, you can actually download a free self-assessment. It's geared towards blogs, but it'll work towards other things. And it'll give you like 15 areas where you can kind of grade your own writing and see where you're at, see where the improvements might be. Again, that's free. You don't need to give me your email or anything. It's just there. So I won't go over all 15, but just a couple of them. Again, the 3 that we just talked about, the introduction, the structure, the call, those are on there. But also things like breaking up long paragraphs. Nobody wants to read a wall of text. So if your paragraph is longer than about 3 sentences, it's too long. So break those up, add white space. Another thing that I see a lot is people will write a great post and they won't have any links going anywhere. So if you have one post, you probably have more, or you probably have some other external resource that will be helpful to people in your mind. So build that link strategy. Put 3 or 4 links in these articles to give people that breadcrumb where they can go, oh, I'm interested in that too. Let me read this other article that you wrote. Oh, that's pretty cool. So like that's another thing you can do. I'll just pick one more. Again, there's so many. I'll just pick one more.
Sure.
Evergreen content is super important. So I actually had to go back with my own website and look for this and take some of the stuff out, because I might have said, okay, hey, yesterday I did this, or the other day I did that. Like, okay, well, it's now 3 years later. I didn't really do that yesterday, right? That's not evergreen. So think about it. If you have references to products or services or companies that no longer exist, you need to go back and take those out. That just shows that you have dated material. If you're talking about Y2K, oh boy, that's, your post is like 25 years old. I'm not going to read that. So,
yeah. Then automatically it's dated. So you're like, okay, the rest of this is probably not updated either. Yeah.
Yeah. So, going back, anything that could be dated that could suggest to the reader that this isn't current and up to date, remove it, change it, modify it in a way that it's more evergreen, that it's more timeless. So those are just, I've got a ton more. Those are just like 4 or 5 examples of things you can do right now, or you can call me and I'll do them for you.
Nice. So I wanted to ask you about your agency. So Cedar Press Proofreading, specifically, like what services do you offer? And tell us your website again, so people know where to find you.
Yeah, you can find us at cedarpressproofreading.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can search for my name or Cedar Press Proofreading. You can find me there. We have a range of offerings. We can basically do anything you need done with written content. So maybe you have something you've already written and you just need a light editor to go over it. We can do that. Maybe you have an idea for something you want to write, but you don't either have the time or the expertise to be able to do that. We can do that for you. Something we're offering that's a fairly recent addition to our services is exactly in lines of what we're talking about. So if you have that blog and you think, boy, I wish it were performing a little better, I think I could be getting more out of this, more value, we have the ability to come in and take your blog posts, up to 20 of them, your top, when we have a way to identify which 20 those should be, and optimize them, do all the things we're talking about for you so you don't have to do it. So can you download my self-assessment and do all this work yourself? Absolutely. To do 20 blog posts, it'll probably take you about 60 hours.
Yeah.
Or you can hire me to do it and it'll take you 0 hours. So, that's something a lot of people don't do, is they don't value their money, or excuse me, they don't value their time. Yeah. So you have an effective hourly rate, or I hope you do, as a business owner. So every hour you're doing editing on your blog, as important as that is, that's an hour you're not doing you're not working on your actual value proposition. So it may make sense to offload that. Yeah, there's an upfront cost, but think about on the back end. I get a better product at the end of the day. I get a better blog than if I did it myself. And I get those 60 hours of my life back to go make 60 phone calls to clients to land, 10 sales. Now your ROI is really getting up there. So we can do any of those things, all those things. We're here to help you make your written content just the absolute best it can be. Resonating, engaging, driving, resonating, engage, those click-through rates up. And so, so content editing, you think, oh, it's a minor thing. Well, I don't know about that. I think there's a lot of value to it.
Awesome. So is there an ideal client, or are there characteristics of a client that you think you can either help the most or would get the most benefit?
Yeah, I think that the ideal client for our agency would be someone who is an expert or has a lot of value that they want to provide to the world and cares about doing it in an excellent manner, but just needs help. You might be the best software developer on the planet and have these amazing apps that are going to help millions of people, but you suck at writing copy. Like, it's okay. That's fine. I'm terrible at certain things, and so I outsource them out. I have a CPA. Right. I don't know the first thing about taxes. I pay the guy to do it because I don't know. So really, if you have that valuable product or service and you have the expertise and you just need help getting it out there and getting those readers engaged, like, that to me is the kind of person that I want to come alongside and help.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so I gotta switch gears. I gotta go off topic for a second. Okay. I know that you play electric guitar in a band, so I gotta ask you, how long have you been doing that, and what kind of music do you guys play?
Yeah, well, I've been playing guitar since I was about 15, so I'm 42 now. I don't know how many years that is. It's however many. I'm not a math guy, right? I'm a word guy. So, and I've been playing like in my church for a very long time, but I've always wanted to be in a band, and I thought, well, I can't do that because I have kids and I have these other responsibilities. So one day when they're all old, I'll do that. But actually what happened was a guy I met was a drummer in a local band. He said, hey, we need a guitarist. Are you interested? So I said, well, I got to talk to my wife about this. I can't just commit to this. So I thought she'd say no, right? So I come home and I say, hey, my buddy just invited me to be in a band. And I don't know. And she's like, do it. You have to do this. Like, okay, I guess I'm in a band now. So,
awesome.
So that happened about 6 or 8 months ago. That started. So this is a pretty new thing for me, but it's a total bucket list item. We play rock covers, anything from Fleetwood Mac to Post Malone. And nice. I play electric guitar, and it's super fun. I love it. I hope I can continue to do it for a long time. And I just have a ton of fun.
That's a great creative outlet. That's awesome. I always love to know what makes people tick, what they like to do behind the scenes. All right, so my last question that I always have to ask is, what's your number one tip for success as a business owner or entrepreneur?
Boy, I've got so many. If I had to choose one, I would say don't let fear hold you back. Starting a business is scary. Taking the next step in your business is scary. It's all scary. Any kind of growth is scary, but I let myself be held back by fear for far too long. I wish I had a time machine. I could go back to my earlier self, I guess 8 years ago now, and say, just start it, just do it. So great. I just want a great resource for that to just help you get over your fear is to check out the book Rejection Proof by Jia Jiang. And if you don't want to read the book, he's got a TED Talk as well. You can kind of get the flavor of the book with that. And that book really changed my life. It helped me to learn how to step out, to be okay with doing things and trying things and having them not all succeed. So yeah, just don't let fear hold you back. If you're scared of doing something, do it anyway.
Nice.
It won't be that bad, I promise. You will survive.
And then you always feel better after for having done it anyway, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Because even if it doesn't go the way you want, you're proud of yourself because you took the courage. When I'm afraid of heights, and we took the family to Hawaii several years ago on vacation, and one of the places we visited, they had this waterfall, and it wasn't really that high. So I mean, by most people's standards, I mean there were people in the tree up above us doing flips off the branches, landing in the little lake area. That's way too advanced for me. But my young son wanted to jump off the rock into the water, and other people were doing it. We assumed it was safe. I'm really scared of heights, but I was like, when am I going to be here again? And when am I going to be able to do this again? So I was nervous. It took me a little while. I got to the edge of the rock. I looked down. I was like, oh, this is higher than I thought. But I did it, and afterward I was glad I did, because if I had chickened out, I think I would have felt, like I missed an opportunity there. And so it's it's great advice, I think, for sure. So with that, it's just about time to wrap things up. I want to thank you again, Jon, so much for sharing all your insights and great tips with us. Go to cedarpressproofreading.com to learn more about his services, book a call with him, and download a free blog self-assessment checklist to gain new visitors and customers by improving your existing blog. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, remember, no matter what you want from your business and your life, don't compromise, optimize.